Hi guys, my name is JP from FSiPanel. Welcome to this new video. Today we'll try to do a RNAV RNP approach in Innsbruck. So let's have a look at this approach. I'm using the Navigraph Charts for this approach, which is very nice. And you can see here RNAV RNP Zulu 08 in Innsbruck, Austria. The first thing we see on the approach chart on the top right corner here, it says RNP ER. What does it mean, ER? It means that authorization is required. So operators need to have a special authorization and a special training to do that. So we'll pretend we have it. And one of the main things about this approach is ER is that the navigation performance is usually 0.3 or less for the lateral, and the vertical deviation has to be monitored as well by the system. On the 737, we have the NPS system, Navigation Performance System, which is, you will find it on your PFD. It will show here your lateral deviation, and here you will have your vertical deviation. So during the approach, we'll have to monitor closely these two scales and make sure that we are always in the limits. If we reach the limits, going out of the limits, we need to execute a missed approach. So let's start by putting the aircraft in the right place. So what we will do, I will put the aircraft right there at the approach fix, initial approach fix, which is LM, and we will join the hold just to prepare the aircraft. And once we're ready, we will start this approach. So we'll brief it entirely from the hold, so we will see what happens. Weather is the weather from today, December 13th, and it's very cold and quite cloudy, low visibility. So we'll see if we can see the runway. All right, let's get into the FSiPanel to prepare that. So what I will do here, I will use the PMDG 737. We will fly in Innsbruck, Lima Oscar Whiskey India. Runway will be runway 08, and here we will use the star. The star that has this LM point is XB1 Bravo. I will take the LM point. Heading 151, this is good for us. We don't need to change it that much. The altitude 13,000 feet. Let's have a look. What does it say? Minimum altitude is 13,000. So perfect. This is what we need to have. So I will set here 13,000. It's good. The offset 5 miles, and we will set freeze position initially. Validate. We can see that the weather there is few clouds at 600, scattered 4,000, broken at 6,500. It's only 4 degrees, QNH 1025. So we have a few clouds here which might prevent us to see the runway. So let's give it a try and see what happens. So we're gonna move the aircraft now. And we should be at 13,000 feet, close to our point LM, where we will join the hold and start our briefing. All right, here we are, quite cloudy, and we are at 13,000 feet. Yeah, looks good. And now we let FSiPanel trim the aircraft, and we'll be able to start with our FMC preparation to join the hold over the position LM, and then from there we will prepare the aircraft, do the briefing, and fly this approach. So we are just going to let FSiPanel do his job. Wow. All right, please switch off pause when ready to take control. If we do that, as we chose to have a frozen position, FSiPanel should keep the aircraft static, so it gives us more time to do everything. So let's do it and see if it works. I release the pause, and I have control, and the aircraft remains static. Yeah, perfect. So now we can start working on our FMC. We want to prepare the holding, which is the first thing we want to do. So to do that, we need to change the destination. As always, when we fly from a star or any approach, if you want to use the FMC, by default in FSiPanel, you always have destination Lima Fox Mike November. So now we want to change it to Innsbruck, Lima Oscar Whiskey India. Now we have the modify route, execute, and we're gonna charge the approach now. It's gonna be the RNAV Zulu 08 with the transition LMM. It tells me that the cruise altitude has been changed to 13,000. This is what we want. Execute. Now we want to go direct to the position LMM, which will be in front of us, as we can see here on the nav display. And we want to insert the hold. So let's go for the hold. This is the hold in case of go around. We want a new one, so we press next hold at position LMM. And now we need to check on the charts that these values are correct. So let's have a look at this. If we check LMM, here we see that the hold is 149 left turn. So let's see if that's correct. We have 149 right turn. So that can be dangerous. We might be going toward a mountain, so let's change it to left turn. 149 left turn. And that's it. Execute. Another thing we want to do is maybe to reduce a little bit the aircraft weight, as the runway is not very long and we have a steep approach at some point. So FSiPanel here has the aircraft at about 65 tons. So let's reduce a little bit the weight. To do that, I will just reduce a little bit the weight of the fuel. We have right now 6.9 tons of fuel. So let's put now 3,500 in the tank. And that should be enough. Good. So now we have our FMC going to LMM and join the hold, as we can see here. So we're ready to fly and prepare the aircraft. Alright, so LNAV is armed. I hold my brake to take control, and now the position is on freeze, and we can see that the aircraft is actually now flying toward LMM to join the holding. Alright, let's have a quick look at the aircraft itself. If all the switches are in the right position, I will start from the overhead panel. Overhead panel, we see that here everything is good. In there we have the APU already, we can leave it. This is FSiPanel for stability. Leave it on. Seatbelt sign is already on. Here we might need the anti-ice, so I will switch the anti-ice on already. To switch the anti-ice on, we need to have the engine start switches to continuous, which they are already, and then we can switch left engine anti-ice, right engine anti-ice on. Landing elevation, here we need to set the elevation of the airport, which is 1900. And as for the lights, all the lights are set. This one we can turn off for the time being as the gear is up. And that's it. Now we are joining the hold. I will have the weather, some waypoints, and the data, so we have all information available there. So now we're going to prepare our approach. We see that we have anti-ice on here, TAI. We are in cruise. The speed is just above up, which is the best economical speed in the hold, and we will prepare our briefing for this approach. Alright, so let's bring the approach in view now. As we can see, this approach is Innsbruck 750 is the chart reference if you want to fly it. MSA, as you can see, is very high. We have in the north of the airport up to 11,400, in the southwest where we are right now 13,200, and if we go to the east part it goes up to more than 14,000, so we have to be very careful when we fly this approach. From LMM we will fly to Whiskey India 750 at 13,000 feet or above to the waypoint Whiskey India 751. Here we have a max speed of 175. Then we'll go to Whiskey India 752 for about 7 miles here to the 753, maximum speed 165, and then we'll join the final approach course to the runway 08. One of the things to do on these approaches is to be configured early, because if the aircraft is configured early, you will have a constant rate of descent all the way, and that's improved the vertical performance, which is the best thing to do on this kind of approach. In case of go around, what do we have to do? We will fly a LNAV go around, so we will push go around button, toga, flaps 15, positive rate gear up, and we will have LNAV, and it will follow the go around to Whiskey India 002 climbing to altitude 11,500 feet, which is down there here. The runway itself, we see that we have 1,900 meters available, 45 meters wide, and the PAPI angle is 3.5 degrees. So let's see if we can do that. What we need here is the minimum is 2,900 feet and RNP 0.3. So this is what we will do. 0.3, we have to set the system. You see the note there, uncompensated barrow VNAV, not available below -7 degrees Celsius. This is due to the fact that the lower the temperature, the lower you'll be on the profile, and you might hit some obstacle on the approach. So this is the limit given by this approach. If the temperature is below -7 degrees Celsius, we are not allowed to fly it. As simple as that. So now let's get ready for this approach, as the aircraft is nicely established in the hold. So we'll start by preparing our FMC. A couple of things to do here. The first thing we do normally is to go into the position and have a look at the nav status. And on the page 2 here you see that right now the FMC can update its position by DME, by VOR, GPS or localizer. We don't want this to happen because only the GPS is good enough for this kind of approach. We don't want any DME or any VOR update and then we get out of tolerance and we have to do a missed approach. So what we do here, we deselect the DME update, we deselect the VOR update, and we'll deselect the localizer update, keeping only the GPS as the source for the FMC. Another thing we need to do on this approach is check on the progress page 4. You see here RNP 0.3. So this is what we want to do for the approach. So I will force it as well here on the RNP 0.3. And here we have the vertical RNP. So here we will set the default values of 125 feet. Set 125 because we have always 50 feet of actual navigation performance on the aircraft. This ANP will be always 50, and we want to check our vertical deviation by 75 feet, so 75 plus 50 will make this 125, and that will be shown on our performance navigation performance scale here that we will see later on. So now this is done, we will set our approach speed. Now we will go for flaps 40 as the runway is short, so flaps 40, 137 will be our approach speed. Now if we look at this approach, we have LNM at 13,000 or above, and then we'll have the Whiskey India 750 at 13,000 or above again. So one good thing to do is to remove this above here and say that we want to be at 13,000. Speed 240, and then we have the speed 175 as we saw on the charts. Then it will reduce to 165, and then we'll have our approach speed VRF plus 5, 142. Now we need to tell the system that we are now cruising at 13,000 to program VNAV. So we see that we are at 13,000, we will program 13,000 feet. It's got the hold speed of 214, which is good for us. It's actually the up bug, the most economical speed. So that's good for us, we can execute. And if we go to the descent, you see the descent has got a target speed of 296. So we don't want to increase the speed. So what we'll do, we'll put just 214, which is the up speed as well, and execute. So now we will have a nice descent. Okay, now FMC is prepared. We need to set our minimums. So let's set the minimum now, which is 2900 feet according to the chart, plus 50 feet usually to avoid going below. This is what most of the airlines are doing. So let's do it this way. I'm going to put my minimum at 2,950. See that we are going outbound in the hold, so that means 1 minute hold outbound plus 1 minute inbound in 2.5 minutes. We should be able to start our approach if we are ready. And the best thing to do in aviation is never rush, especially in one of these difficult approach in bad weather. We need to be sure that everything is ready, aircraft is in the right place, and everything is briefed before starting an approach. Otherwise, things get messy very quickly. So let's go 2950. as the minimum is now set. So the minimum is set. Our approach speed are set. We will set the auto brake to 3 as we have a short runway, and we'll use the reverse as well during the after landing. So minimum set, altitude is set. We have here the heading. I will set the heading for the inbound leg. Here we go. For the next turn inbound, 149, and we'll be ready to start this approach. Alright, so we'll let the FMC turn inbound and then we'll start the approach. So to see better what's happening, what I will do, I'll put the PFD and the MFD big, so we have a better view on what we are doing. There is no need to do an enough setting, as the only thing we have is a localizer, and there is no DME reading into the approach chart, so no need to set anything there. And if you would have a VOR, maybe I would have set a VOR, but there is nothing available, so we'll just keep it as a full RNAV procedure. So during this RNAV procedure, we'll have to monitor our descent and our lateral and navigation track, so we'll see that. Once the aircraft has turned inbound, we will exit the hold, and normally we should be able to start our approach automatically from overhead LMM going to Whiskey India 750. Okay, we are turning inbound, maintaining 13,000 feet. The local QNH is confirmed at 1025. No cautions. At this time we will do the descent checklist. Alright, we're turning toward the point LMM. If you exit the hole too early, I saw on the PMDG 737, might turn directly toward LMM and then you have some issue to start your approach. So it's probably better to wait until you're established inbound, and then you will have a easier transition to your approach. So let's see now. I'm going to exit the hold. Hold and element, exit hold, confirm, execute. So now it says exit armed, and it told us as well that we will need some drag. So now it says no descent pass after Whiskey India 750. Let's have a look why. Whiskey India 750, 13,000, and then it's got the descent all the way down to minimum. Should not be a problem. We'll see that. The real aircraft will not do something like this normally. Okay, so we have VNAV, we have VNAV path. The aircraft is maintaining 13,000 feet, and now we'll give the aircraft the clearance to start the approach. So I will put here my minimum initially, which is 2950. So 2950 will set 3000. And now we are in VNAV pass. It's important to check that you are in VNAV pass. If you are in VNAV alt, the aircraft will not start its descent. So you need to have VNAV path, and you need to have altitude lower to give clearance to VNAV to start the approach. So now he should go to this Whiskey India 750 at 13,000 feet, and after that he will start his descent. So you see now the speed is increasing to 240. If we don't want it, we just press speed intervention and we go back to up speed. No need to accelerate. Now let's see if the aircraft will start his descent. Beautiful weather outside here. This is the NPS. You see, this is the tolerance on the vertical guidance, and this is the tolerance on the lateral guidance. We have to be in between this bracket here. Alright, let's see now. It's going to Whiskey India 750. That's a bit too much. Let's see how he managed that. Still turning in the hole. Oh, okay, start the approach. Perfect. Alright, I'm gonna synchronize the heading. And now we need to add some drag. So let's go for flaps 1. Bug 1 speed. And now I can give VNAV the speed back, so I will push speed intervention and automatically will go to 1 bug. We need a bit of drag, so I'm gonna use my speed brake. Because now he's trying to recover the late descent that he did. You see we are 120 feet below. Everything is coming back nicely and we are established on our descent profile. That's it. Now we are on profile, so the aircraft will lose the speed slowly now. It's gonna be fine. No need to rush. Now you see the aircraft reverted to VNAV speed. Not very nice for us. So what we can do, we put flaps 5, speed intervention, and we're gonna keep the speed a little bit high with the air brake, and that will help us to go down and catch this 400 feet that we have here. We are currently 500 feet too high. So by adding a little bit of drag with the flaps, which we are not supposed to do on the Boeing, but here that's the only thing we can do really if we want to try this approach. So let's see if we can catch up a little bit here. See, the rate of descent is high now and we are going back on profile slowly. So we just wait. You see the profile is going back. At this point, Whiskey India 751, we have this maximum speed 175. So we have to comply with that as well. So we'll see if it works. 10,000 feet. Start. Lights are on already. 7 miles. Okay, we're still 600. So we're gonna bring the gear down. Gear down. So retractable lights on, and the 2 runway turn-off are on. Now with the gear, for sure, it has a lot of drag. We are going down nicely. We are going back into here. The pass is coming back. And now the mode should revert to VNAV pass. Let's have a look at this transition now. VNAV pass, and now I give back the speed control here to VNAV. So it's going back to his 5 speed now. 175 maximum, we should be just there in 4 miles. So we continue, we are nicely established and we have some ground contact over the mountain. Nice. Alright, speed is good now for flaps 15. Flaps 15. Automatically VNAV will set our speed to bug 15. That's it. And we are approaching our maximum 175 knots by Whiskey India 751. So we are good. We are also more than 300 feet below missed approach altitude, so we are able now to set our missed approach altitude to 11,500 feet. Okay, as we go around, it's already set. Aircraft is turning to the next waypoint, which is WY 753. Speed is good. Don't need the air brake anymore, and we will go now to flaps 25. And the speed is good. Flaps 40. Now VREF will be set automatically by the system. And flaps 40 green light, we can do the landing checklist. Landing checklist, engine start switch is continuous. Speed brake is armed. Landing gear down and flaps 40 green light. Missed approach altitude is set. We are ready. So now we look at performance, still good. We are good vertically and good laterally. And we have a ground contact. Let's see if we can have the runway. If we don't have the runway, we need to go around at 2,950 feet, climbing to 11,500, following the RNAV. So let's hope we see something outside. We will do the left turn in in 4 miles. We will turn toward the runway. I see in front of us a little bit of clouds here. That's the few cloud at 500 feet. It might be a problem. Let's hope we see the runway. Okay, just been clear to land. Taxi light on. So now we're all set, ready to fly this approach. I will never disconnect autopilot or auto throttle unless I have contact on the runway. It makes life much easier to let fly the autopilot and just monitor than having to fly manually, monitoring the altitude, monitoring the path. So I just let the automation doing its job until we are 100% sure that we can land safely. So let's have a look now. What do we see? We see the airport, I think right there, but we might lose contact on that clouds layer here, so I will still wait. We're still 1,000 feet above our minimum, and the aircraft will soon turn left on the runway, toward the runway. So we have a traffic here, it's not a factor. Lucky for us. Okay, let's see. Reduce the range a little bit so we have a better overview of what's going on with the left turn. Speed is nice. You see here lateral deviation is good, vertical deviation is good. 1,000 feet. This is due to the terrain here. We are a little bit more than 1,000 feet above the airport elevation, but still it's 1,000 feet above terrain below, so we have to be careful. But we are good in the vertical path. We see the runway in front of us. Perfect. There is this little layer here. I hope it's not going to be a factor at the minimum. Let's see. Now we are at 1,000 feet.
Terrain, pull up.
Okay, we are visual. So we continue the approach as we are VMC. Otherwise, if we will be IMC, we had this pull up, we'll have to go around. Okay, nicely established. Little tailwind now, this gives us this kind of speed drop, and I'm going to take it manually around 500 feet to do the landing. Alright, autopilot off, auto throttle is off, and we go for the runway. The PAPI is very hard to see on this airport for some reason. I don't know why. And 500 stabilize. Now the PAPI is coming in view. Speed is good.
300.
See, the flight director is still showing good, so we can follow it.
Sync rate.
Sync rate, sorry about that. Coming down.
50. 30. 20. 10.
Wow. Reverse, speed brake up, and reverses normal. Manual braking, auto brake disarm, 60 knot, idle reverse. Here we go. Okay, we landed safely. The landing was not the best. Floated a bit. Let's see what FSiPanel says. It will probably give me a very, very bad grade, guys. I'm very sorry about it. Let's see. Very good for the landing distance, which is was a bit long on a short runway, and I was left of the center line. The rate of descent was not too bad. So at the end, I'm not that happy with myself, but Could be better, floated too much. Okay guys, give it a try yourself. Same approach. What I use here is the Innsbruck Aerosoft Airport. I use the ActiveSky weather as of today, so if you want to have the same weather, this is the weather from 9:50 UTC local time, 9:50 UTC, sorry, in Innsbruck. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you soon for another video, and please post all the comments you want concerning this approach. Wish you safe landings with FSiPanel, and see you next time. Bye bye.